This is one of my clients' dashboards. We have made $111,000 in the last 11 days. We made $132,000 in revenue, $111,000 in cash. I'm just going to refresh it so you know that it's real. This is a real dashboard we're using. And for this client, we've made $1.2 million in cash in 8 months. I'm going to be breaking down everything. This literally took me, as I can say, like 8 months to learn. I probably made over, probably $100,000 in mistakes to learn this and share it with you. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the full 7-figure system from literally A to Z. So you can take this if you're a growth operator, implement it for your clients. If you're looking to become a growth operator, this is going to be insanely valuable for you. So as you can see, 1.2 mil, we've done 600K through fan basis, over 600K through WAP now. We're well on the way to getting the WAP plaque. My client has less than 6,000 followers on IG. And when we came into this business in the May of 2025, it was making like $30,000 a month, and there was no sales team, only one closer closing at like 20%. The offer owner was still closing some deals himself, very low show rate, very little kind of personal brand, no CRM, no tracking. He was still taking sales calls himself, like I said. And overall, there was actually like a decent lead flow, but there were no systems on the back end to capture that. There were no ads running, there were no webinars running. And so we fixed it by essentially implementing an organic content system, a back-end system, tracking. We did webinars and way better sales systems. And as you can see, this Maro, I literally spent a week making it, so I hope you enjoy it because it's going to cover everything step by step. Now, you may want me to get into like all of the funnels, all of the really interesting stuff, but I can tell you right now, if I hadn't got the foundations of the offer and the AI stuff that we do across all of our clients into place, none of the other stuff, none of the money that you see here would have been possible. So we're going to start off with the offer and the AI prep. First of all, coming into any offer as a growth operator, you need to do market research. You need to understand who you're helping, exactly who you're helping in granular detail, what their biggest pain points are, what their biggest desires are, how much money are they making, how much money do they want to be making, so what is their kind of like current situation and desired situation. What do they need specifically to bridge that gap between their current situation and desired situation in the business model that we're teaching? What objections do they have around the business model and around themselves, perhaps? What limiting beliefs do they have? And most importantly, where are they in the 5 stages of customer awareness? This graph is probably one of the most important marketing tools you can have as a foundation for any offer. You need to know at what stage your customers are. This offer is a YouTube automation coaching offer. Typically, we're typically targeting more people who are looking to start business for the first time, not necessarily people who are already making 10K a month with YouTube automation and want to scale further. It's kind of like the difference between selling a business mentorship to someone who already runs a business, who's looking to help them scale, or someone who's just starting to get into business. The people who are just starting to get into business are typically more unaware and typically more maybe problem aware. So a lot of the people, they come into our funnel or they see us on YouTube and they're pretty unaware, or they are maybe problem aware of the fact that they can make money online, but they just don't know which vehicle to take. And so these are the things we have to educate our leads on, especially the colder leads when they come into the funnel. Now, once you've done this market research, you want to put all of it into AI. You need to record voice notes, you need to write this down, ask AI to generate you documents full of market research on the offer that you're about to make, using YouTube transcripts from the offer owner. Ask the offer owner for a voice note about their offer, put all the offer documents into an AI project, and make sure you do this in Claude, because Claude is by far the best AI, or Manus, for all of this. We also created a 12-page offer document. My philosophy with offers is always have offer tiers. You don't only want to have one offer that you shove down people's throats, because we have a lot of different people coming through our funnel. Initially, this offer only had one offer. It was a 5K offer. We increased the price, first of all, because once we implemented some good sales systems, the close rate was quite high. So we put the price up. We also introduced a $9,000 consulting offer, which was for those higher tier individuals that were actually more solution aware and product aware, that wanted more one-on-one support with the offer owner. And then we also had a downsell liquidation offer, because we had a lot of leads coming through the pipeline that just couldn't afford that top tier offer or that mid tier offer. And we still could serve them. We still could offer them something. So we introduced that 2K offer. We also, using these questions that you answer here, created full psychographic breakdowns of the ICP based on the sales call recordings and AI, as well as brand voice personas with JSON. And like I said, we plugged this into YouTube alongside all of the client testimonials, video assets to write phenomenal copy. This is something that I can't emphasize enough. It will make your life so much easier as a growth operator for every client to have like a profile, for example, on Claude, so that you can spit out really good copy in a matter of minutes rather than having to input a load of context every time you make a prompt. So those are the foundations. The next foundations we had to fix are the content. And I'm not going to sit here and talk for ages about the content because to be completely honest, Leo, the offer owner, is really good at content. He's really good at YouTube, as he should be. He's teaching kind of YouTube automation as a business model. But the things I told him to implement were, first of all, a 2-hour free course asset. The longer your YouTube videos are for your creator, especially in the BizOp niche, these build so much trust. And you can see here that this video, got 100,000 views and probably made us $300,000. Like, absolutely no joke. We had a crazy month off the back of literally this one singular video. People come in kind of in the top of funnel. So thinking of the funnel, I'm sure you've heard of this, but like a filter. So people come in with these like big free course videos, and then some of them, won't be interested, but leads go from unaware of this business model to problem aware. Oh, I need help starting this business model. And then when they see this kind of bottom of funnel client interviews, they become aware of the solution, which is, of course, our offer. And then most of our leads, we actually have UTM tracking set up across our funnel, which I'll show you now. So inside of our Airtable, we can see exactly which YouTube videos a lead is coming from, as you can see here. And that allows us to double down on the bottom of funnel content that actually converts. Now, we don't only rely on YouTube as a platform. YouTube is phenomenal, but we still get a ton of leads through lead magnet tweets on X, where we use a DM setter. And we also run story sequences on Instagram. Although Instagram isn't a huge platform, we do post some clipped up reels. We do run like regular story sequences and kind of build some sort of community from leads on YouTube. So we bring leads obviously from YouTube to Instagram. And of course, we have an outbound setter sending messages to every lead that comes through. We have a setter on X. And this kind of acts like a flywheel alongside the meta ads that I'll be getting into to create an ecosystem of people entering our funnel. Now, talking about funnel, it's exactly the same as content. You do not want to have one singular funnel. Maybe when you just launch, all right, you want to keep it simple. You want to have one funnel. But especially for an offer like this that has been consistently doing 6-figure months with fairly limited lead flow compared to a lot of other offers, doing 1.2 mil like this, you can't just do a cash grab. Like a lot of these big numbers that you'll see with operators doing $1 million a month, whatever, it's on a huge launch where they just throw the kitchen sink like at everything. They try and spam their leads so much and try and do everything they can to get the sales through. Whereas for us, we do have more of a long-term game. So we implement a lot of different funnels to be able to convert different leads, because different people need different conversion mechanisms. Some people, the market's getting more and more aware. Everyone's telling you this. Some people need, a 1 or 2 hour live webinar to have enough trust and understand the business model enough to go ahead and book a call and buy. Some people, they want to have a one-on-one chat with the business owner, so they get DM set. Some people come straight through the VSL funnel and are ready to buy. So that's why we implement like all types of funnels, 4 different funnels: VSL, free community, webinar, and DM. And I'm going to be going through the frameworks of how we set these up, literally the whole process for you now. So the first funnel is our VSL funnel, and this is evergreen. So it doesn't go away. Any lead can kind of find this through YouTube. It's always there, and it's great to bring us consistent lead flow, even if we're not running any sort of event or doing any sort of direct promotion. Now, in terms of a VSL funnel and how it's structured, you obviously want a landing page with a headline, a sub-headline, and a VSL. All of my landing pages that you're going to see in this video are built on Lovable. If you want the templates, just DM me Lovable on Instagram. I've got a free guide that kind of covers exactly how to build these landing pages, which really look pretty cool. But typically landing pages, like they look nice and stuff, but the main important thing is obviously the copy, the headline, the sub-headline, and what's in the VSL itself. So in terms of the VSL framework we took with this offer, we more so framed it as a free training. We wanted to double down on the value. So although we kind of start off with a classic VSL framework with a strong hook, with pattern interrupt, authority, and then kind of the opportunity framing, we break down kind of the pillars of our system of what's actually taught inside of the program, inside of the VSL to give even more value. And then, of course, we use pain and future pacing and social proof to back up before we obviously make that final CTA, which is to apply through a Typeform and book in a call. Now, our Typeform, we do it super specifically, and it looks a bit like this. So first of all, we capture contact details. Now, a lot of people will tell you not to do this, and across other offers with other clients, we do actually take contact details later on in the Typeform to reduce drop-off. But for this offer, because of the niche, like YouTube automation, we do get a lot of third world country and disqualified leads. So typically, we want to kind of be a bit more strict with our Typeform and ask for first name, ask for all their details first. So first of all, the setter can contact them straight away if they fill in their details, and then go into a few questions. Typically, you want to ask current situation. So we ask for like income and their job, simply because once again, we do get a lot of unqualified leads coming through the funnel. We typically ask for their goals, and then also what is their desired situation. So, what is your biggest goal? And then how much capital do you actually have to achieve that goal? And this kind of frames the budget question. A lot of people trip up on like a Typeform budget question. They're not sure how to ask or where to ask how much money their prospects have. But it is super important if you want to build a good funnel to only let qualified people on calls, of course. So we kind of frame the budget question as a way of like, how much capital do you have to actually achieve those goals? At this point in the Typeform, we have a partial submit. And this allows us to capture all of the leads information up until this point. And we do this because we actually embed the Calendly booking here inside of the last question. And we make this required so that essentially leads have to book in a call to finish the Typeform. And even if they don't finish it, we don't just lose all their details and lose their information. We have setters calling them up within 5 minutes to make sure that we can book them in, even if, for example, there's just no times that work for them on the calendar here. And with this $1,000 kind of question, anyone that clicks here will get sent to this page, as you can see in this workflow. But if anyone says they have less than $1,000 to their name, they get sent to, the program is going to be a good fit for you. But we do have dialers calling and downselling to like a $500, very much do-it-yourself option inside of the VSL funnel too. Then, as well as dialers calling all of these leads that don't go ahead and book in, we also have a 9-step email flow that we trigger through our CRM for leads that apply but don't book in. So we send them 9 emails which look a bit like this. So we say, oh, we've reviewed your application, we really want to work with you. We just send them a bunch of social proof, so case studies, handling objections, giving them cost of inaction, handling more objections, giving them urgency, case studies, free value, and then final urgency and scarcity. And this goes alongside the setters calling up so we're DMing them on WhatsApp, we're SMSing them to try and get them booked in, so that our Typeform to application to booking rate is as high as possible. So that's kind of like how we do VSLs. Typically, your landing page will look something like this, and then you want your case studies down here underneath the first VSL and the application or the booking link. The second funnel that we run is a free community funnel. Now, this offer owner had a big, YouTube automation community, largely with unqualified leads when I started working with him. And we decided to re-engage or, capture a lot of leads that maybe are familiar with kind of VSLs. They're not actually getting converted by the VSL. They need more kind of knowledge on the business model. They need more free value. Maybe they want to ask some questions, and they can do that through our free community funnel. So on YouTube videos, essentially we have the VSL funnel, which is like work with me. And then we also have join my free community as the two kind of CTAs. Some people will go straight to the work with me because they know what they want. They're more aware, they're solution aware, they're product aware. And some of them who aren't aware will go to the free community. Now, the free community funnel looks a bit like this. We have a headline. We say it's like, previously $40, building that urgency and that scarcity. And we have a form that captures their name, Instagram, email, and phone number before they join the community. This gets sent to Zapier. They get put in our CRM with a webhook. And then we send them to this page here, which is kind of like while you wait for your free community access to arrive in your email inbox, watch this quick, this is a VSL, to discover how people are using this system to get guaranteed monetization, which is our guarantee on the offer. And so we have that same VSL here, as well as the program application. And you'd be pretty surprised to how well this converts. Some people obviously are just completely disqualified. We have the same Typeform that, qualifies them for income. But some people may not, want to click on the work with me, but they want the free value from the community. They see the VSL, they apply, and they book in a call. Now, after people join the community, you can remember that we have their name, their Instagram, their email, and their phone number. So the first thing that gets triggered is a similar automation to this one inside of Close CRM, which essentially is a 4-step email flow. First of all, okay, email to join the community. This has a super high open rate. And then we send them 3 to 4 more emails, one with value in a case study, another case study with a CTA to book, and then a really hard CTA to book. And this email flow does get us quite a lot of booking as well, because the volume coming through the free community funnel is quite high. We also then have a phone setter calling up the number, trying to get lead, welcoming them to the free community, then getting the lead to book onto a call. And then we also have SMSs going out to the lead and the Instagram DM setter messaging outbound on Instagram. So the lead is essentially getting hit from every single angle. And the best part about a free community funnel really is the fact that you don't waste a single lead. Like every single lead that comes through, we get a notification into Slack and the setting team is on them. Right? They're getting emails automatically and it runs evergreen in the background. And not only that, like people, getting booked into Calendly through this page, through the emails, through the setters, but also long-term inside of the Discord, we give away a lot of free value. We give away lead magnets. We have a little free course. We do, Q&As as people answering questions in there. We also host free group calls and we also do occasional CTAs. So, during promotion periods, perhaps during Christmas, during Black Friday, we can kind of liquidate the people that have just been sitting in the Discord and getting free value and actually push them to take an action by doing CTAs and getting them onto a call. And sometimes we CTA to the third funnel that we run, and this is kind of the speciality that I run across all of my clients, which is the webinar funnel. And we're going to be going super in depth to the changes that we're making to the webinar funnel for this client compared to the first one that we run, and how we're actually running weekly webinars with ads, which I will cover in just a second. Typically with ads, you're not really going to be running ads to a free community funnel. It's very difficult to track the ROAS, and it's typically not as like direct call to action as sending them to a VSL to book onto a call or sending them to a webinar where they're going to get pitched. So we run about $200 a day in ad spend to a VSL funnel. We actually have a different VSL for organic, which has a slightly different framework. And our strategy with ads has been separating, more aware and less aware audiences. I'm going to be making a full video breaking down like the ad strategy across all of our clients that we're using to generate anywhere from like 3 to 7 ROAS, breaking down the specific ad campaigns, how to set up these ad campaigns, like who is a good client to run ads for, who is not a good client to run ads for. And if you are looking for any direct help with this, just send me a DM on Instagram. I'd be happy to send a few voice notes and help you out. But in terms of the webinar itself, this is our landing page. So first of all, we have a banner, which is like, free Faceless YouTube Automation Workshop. It shows exactly what it is. It says it's free. Actually, I should probably add live workshop here because they might just think it's some random VSL, but we do have a timer. We do have a date. So hopefully, it is clear that it is live. Our headline is still the AI system. We're quite big on the AI side of things. Obviously, it's a big buzzword. You don't want to overuse it, but typically the headline where we do talk about AI is a big part of the program, performs super well. We have a mini 4-minute VSL on kind of breaking down the opportunity, breaking down a few case studies and what they're going to learn in the webinar, giving them some urgency, giving them scarcity to register. We then have a button that obviously where they can grab their free ticket. We say, we've had over 100 5-star ratings. We then have our kind of what they're going to learn. So I'm going to be going into this in a few minutes, but you want to have 3 kind of training pillars on a webinar. You want to have your introduction, which kind of breaks limiting beliefs. And we frame this as like, the biggest lies about achieving your dream outcome with YouTube automation. To hook them in. And then we have our 3 kind of training pillars, which is, finding good niches, creating viral videos, and then using AI to automate the entire process. And then at the end, so people stick around, we give them exclusive bonuses and we have a live kind of Q&A session. We then also have a lead magnet that people have when they sign up to the webinar. We have a meet your host section, and then we have, of course, case studies and client images. And then at the bottom of the page, and this is a sticky banner, so this stays as they scroll. It's only 7 free spots left. The ticket prices increase soon, so you better claim your free ticket now. When they click on the claim your free ticket button, this website, like I said, is built using Lovable. It actually opens a form up, as you can see here. And this form auto-fills from Instagram. So any leads signing up through Instagram, through an ad, or through the ManyChat automation that we make, it auto-fills their contact information here. So it makes it super, super easy to sign up. And how we kind of automate this and make sure everything is tracked properly is we catch the hook using Zapier. So essentially, when this form is filled in, it sends a webhook to Zapier. which then in the Zapier automation triggers them to register inside of Webinar Jam, which is a software I would 100% recommend you use when you're running webinars. And then we also have a Google spreadsheet, as you can see here, where every sign up is listed in a line on the spreadsheet, and we can see the exact UTM source for each lead, so we can track where they've come from. And then when all is said and done with the webinar, as you can see kind of on our tracking data, I can tell you, okay, this lead came from an X auto plug and signed up for the webinar and paid us $3,800. This lead paid us $4,800. We only know that they're coming from the webinar. This lead came from the YouTube description on this video and paid us $5,700 after a webinar. So it's very, very easy to track using this sheet as well. And of course, the information with the UTMs and all of the registrants go into a smart view inside of our CRM too. Okay. After they register, we also have to, make sure they show up to the webinar. So we send them to a thank you page with a little thank you video. This is like 2 or 3 minutes long. It says, do not close this page because you've still got some stuff to do, which is first of all joining the WhatsApp group for the webinar. This is where we place the lead magnet to increase the take rate into the WhatsApp. And inside the WhatsApp, we simply indoctrinate them. We send case studies, we send YouTube videos, we send long form content, we do polls to kind of surmise, what is the awareness level of lead, like what are the leads getting up to? We kind of get an average data for the leads using polls. And it's like another communication channel that we can hit them from. Typically, WhatsApp is, the best, like Telegram, even SMS. A lot of people get a load of SMSs, but WhatsApp is what people use to communicate daily. So if you can hit them where people are on the app, this increases the show up rate like crazy. We also have a button to add them to the calendar and tell them to check their email to make sure they got the invite. Something we're actually testing in our next webinar is an order bump page, which I will be making a video on if it goes well, where essentially, because we're running ads, we can have a little $27 mini offer on this thank you page, which includes, like a bonus group call, maybe some course modules, a little PDF, an ebook, a little guide or something like that, like all combined for $27. And we actually then use that to optimize for that in our ad sets, in our ad campaigns, so that we're getting higher intent leads who are more likely to buy. Because a lead who's going to buy a $27 product on the first page is even more likely to buy your $5K offer on the back end. So that's something we're currently experimenting with. Then in terms of what to say inside of the WhatsApp group, we, like I said, do polls, we send them the calendar link, we send case study videos, we send valuable YouTube videos, we send voice notes and videos of the offer owner. And then after the webinar, we can also promote the offer as well and use a setter on the WhatsApp account to book in more calls. Also, when they sign up, we also have their emails. So yeah, we send a email flow which handles common objections, removes doubts and limiting beliefs, shows case studies and proofs, and also, of course, reminds them of the webinar. This is our email flow and SMS flow. We actually do this inside of Go High Level. So we set the event start time, send them emails, send them emails, typically 8 days before, 7 days before, 6 days before. And then as it gets close to the webinar, we up the frequency of the emails. And then in terms of the actual presentation itself, this is probably the most important part of the webinar. I'm going to be doing a complete A to Z guide on webinars very soon. But webinar presentations can be separated into 3 specific stages, that being introduction, training, and pitch. Now, the introduction is kind of where you want to hook people in, break their limiting beliefs, and get them really excited for what you're about to train them on. The training should be just pure value that really helps them understand that, okay, this is something that I can do. Shows that you're super knowledgeable as the offer owner on what you're teaching, and then a smooth transition into the pitch where it's not a bait and switch, but more of extending the hand of opportunity to help people, if they want more support, have my, here's the offer that we have. But you, of course, also want to kind of bridge a gap from where they are now to their desired situation so that the offer looks more appealing. These 3 steps, like I could tell you to do an intro, a training, and a pitch, and you'd probably seriously fuck it up. So if you're planning on running webinars for your client, you need to be using Jason Fladlian's 14-step framework for webinars. Like there's no other way about it. You want to be using hook, then pain, then teasing them, exciting, positioning yourself, doing a paradigm shift, mechanisms, commitment, transition, core offer, price, bonuses, scarcity, risk, Q&A, and final close. And I'm just going to run you through some quick examples of slides that do this in our presentation. So one of the main hooks that we use is, of course, the opportunity with AI. AI is taking a lot of jobs. You'll see this in a lot of offers at the moment because it is converting so well. And it's something that's top of mind for especially like less aware audiences. And we also frame YouTube as like specifically a big opportunity because of the amount of ad revenue that's literally being paid out on YouTube. 20 billion a year, that is a huge number. And if you can just take a small piece of that pie, you can make 5, you can make 10K a month with literally just one channel. We then go pretty much into the pain very quickly because we want to wake them up from the nightmare of, what they're in, the pain point. People who go onto a webinar are normally in a bit of pain regarding their current situation. So we want to wake them up from the nightmare before we sell them the dream. So, people who have, previously tried to start YouTube but failed, people in 9-to-5s that they don't like. Then, of course, we tease what they're about to learn to be able to solve this problem after we, get them out of this pain point. So we explain exactly what they're going to be learning, those 3 pillars that I mentioned on the landing page. So, pillar 1, pillar 2, and pillar 3 is what you're going to be learning today to solve this problem. And then when you solve this problem, you essentially future pace them, which is kind of the excite part. We use the offer owner story in this part. What have I been able to achieve with YouTube? What's possible for you? Whilst also keeping things realistic and not completely saying, you're going to be a millionaire after you watch this webinar and setting false expectations. Kind of combined with the, future pacing is the positioning. We position the offer owner as someone who's, of course, helped a ton of other people achieve amazing results. Some of these people actually showed up to previous workshops that we've done, et cetera, et cetera. And then we kind of end the introduction with a quick paradigm shift so that people are super locked in, ready to understand and learn and take notes on the mechanisms, on the training that we're going to teach. And the paradigm shift we use is, regarding kind of the attention economy and the way content is being consumed nowadays, which is quite a big paradigm shift for the average person. We then have our mechanisms, which are niches, as you can see here, how to go viral predictably and consistently, and then using AI in the whole process. And typically your mechanisms are going to be the longest part of the webinar. Each one lasts about 10 or 15 minutes with a load of slides. We actually do some live training for this offer. So we share our screen, we go in depth on a few different things. And we typically, like the framework you want to use for mechanisms is like, what is the mechanism? Why is it important? What happens without it? What happens when you do implement it, and then kind of examples, and then getting their commitment. So after each mechanism, you want to make sure that your audience is saying, yes, like I understand this is going to be useful. And after all the mechanisms, as you transition into the pitch, you want to make sure that your audience, feel like confirms that yes, YouTube is what I want to do. Get engagement in the chat. I say here, you want to make sure engagement in the chat. Type 1 in the chat if you agree. Type 2 if the chat if you can understand this. Where are you guys at in YouTube? Type 1 if this sounds like you. Type 2 if this sounds like you. To make sure the chat is engaged throughout the webinar as it is live, right? And you want to get that commitment before you start pitching. And in the transition, like I said, you want to extend that hand. Some people need more guidance than just a 90-minute class to see real life-changing results, which is where we get into the offer. Now, with the offer, you want to keep it short. A lot of people, the biggest mistake they make with webinars is making their offer and making their pitch absurdly long. They get a crazy drop-off rate like during the pitch. They don't even do a CTA because people have already clicked off. So you mention your core offer with an offer statement and kind of a subheadline. You mention the core deliverables, deliverable 1, which is normally some sort of free community that we have. I don't think I included the slide, but tailored one-on-one coaching and an insanely detailed roadmap with this, and this. That's our offer. Of course, it's really good. It's gotten this, and this results. Then we introduce the price where we say, what do others charge for this? What do I typically charge for this? This is my special offer for you today. So always making sure that you use webinars as an opportunity to essentially liquidate this entire funnel. The reason I love webinars is because so many offers, we collect hundreds of emails through our free community. We collect hundreds of emails in our VSL. We have hundreds of leads in our pipeline who know there's going to be a closing call. They know it's about a mentorship, but a webinar is a free opportunity for them to get a ton of value. They're warm, they're there. Why don't we make a special offer to them? So we make a special offer to them. We don't actually price drop on our webinar because we do get a lot of unqualified leads. We say, this is a multi-four figure. This isn't for everyone. This is only for people who are really serious and really want a kickstart. And then we go into bonuses. So we say, this is a $1,000 discount, like exclusive for the webinar. We have, this free bonus. We have this free bonus. We have another free bonus. And then we also implement some scarcity. These free bonuses are only available for the first X amount of people. We have limited spaces. This is, a one-on-one coaching program. We also reverse the risk. So we introduce the guarantee of the program. And, we say we're going to coach you at one-on-one to no extra cost until you are monetized if you don't get monetized within the first 90 days. And the fulfillment on this offer is really, really solid. So we can implement a guarantee like this. And I would recommend, if you're running any sort of offer, like the first step to any offer is amazing fulfillment. Like I have with my offer, quick plug, if you're a growth operator or if you're a setter or a closer who's watching this and thinking, holy shit, how do I make, my clients $1 million? Because, I'm on a significant rev share for this offer. So I've made, over $100,000 lifetime from this client. And if you want to do the same, I have a link in the description where you can license my systems and consult one-on-one with me. If you're a coach who wants us to implement this for you, once again, another link in the description with a little VSL for you. But moving swiftly on, where you want a CTA in a webinar is typically you want a CTA straight after kind of explaining about the price. So you do one CTA here to a type form or a book a call or a price drop or like a checkout link, whichever kind of webinar you're going with. Then you want a CTA after the bonuses, you CTA after the scarcity, you CTA after the risk. Then we typically do FAQ, so frequently asked questions, and an open Q&A where the offer owner is just asking questions in the chat. And you can kind of treat this as like a general objection handling session for the offer itself. We then do another CTA here in the final close and send them through to a type form, which looks a bit like this. So we say, on average, we reject 82% of applicants. So take your time with these questions, just making sure people are serious. Once again, we capture leads first because we do get typically, I can break down some of the numbers. I might have a screenshot here, but typically we see between a 30 and 40% application rate on our webinars. And so we do get a lot of applicants, so we capture their details first so we can ring them up if they don't finish the application. We want to know where they're at, like their kind of current situation with YouTube, what their biggest goal is. And then, of course, that budget qualifier question. So like a simplified version of the Calendly that we had before. And then we have a final question, which is you'll now be prompted to book in a call with our team. Will you book in? The next slide is, of course, the Calendly one, and we can call them if we don't book in. And it's kind of a very simple Calendly where we just, send them here. We've got our booking page. Great. Now get booked in. Then we also have a DM setter. So DM setter essentially cleans up all the mess. We have them on X, we have them on Instagram, we have them on TikTok, and they are a killer. Every single lead that comes through, we're outbounding, we're sending lead magnets. And this is a very simple, basic framework. We have a bit more detailed stuff built out for our offer. But if you're running an offer and you're okay, I just want a quick basic framework before I hire a setter, you want to first get some sort of qualification, especially on an offer which has a significant lead flow of unqualified leads. Immediately you want to try and find some sort of goal. Why are they following? Why are they reaching out? What is their goal and kind of interacting with your profile. Then, of course, qualifying them a bit more deeply to see if it's worth having a deeper conversation with them, finding out where they are right now with their situation, in terms of in relation to their goal, making sure we get some sort of time frame of when they're looking to achieve this goal and some sort of urgency so they actually see the value in booking a call, making sure that we understand their pain points, what they're struggling with. And throughout the conversation, we should be, seeding in value, seeding in proof, recent client results. And then when the time is right, where you've typically, got them asking or you've explained about kind of what you offer, you pitch the call, really simple, and get them booked in. Now, these 4 funnels that we run and all the ads, they can book us a ton of calls. But that doesn't mean anything if our calls don't show up or anything like that. Quick follow-up system on webinars. Sorry. We also run a replay system. So we send emails, we send CTAs into the WhatsApp. I'm going to make, like I said, a full webinar video, but we send emails to people to book in a call. If they attended, we have this sequence. If they didn't show, we have this sequence. So we separate that with a GHL tag with an attended automation inside of Zapier. And then the dialers will triage all the leads that book in. We want to get rid of any leads that are on the calendar that, are unqualified or shouldn't be on the call, because the calendars get pretty packed. We have 4 or 5 closers on webinar day. Then we want to call up all the applications that didn't end up booking in. We call all of the attendees that didn't apply, and then we call the no-shows and any people that were interacting in the chat. And replay opt-ins, all of that stuff. Typically for priority number 3, the attendees who didn't apply, I export the sheet from Webinar Jam. We then filter the sheet by how much time they spent in the live room. And then the setters can essentially go in and call. You would expect that someone who's watched the entire webinar is more likely to be interested in what we have to offer. They've seen the pitch. So the setters call from top to bottom on this side of things, and they make notes in the end column. Now, just to show you kind of some financial modeling of a webinar of what you want to track, you want to obviously track your ad spend if you're running ads, but in terms of the key metrics, it's your kind of opt-in rate in terms of the landing page, how well your landing page is converting. Typically, you want to see between 30 and 60%. We've seen upwards of 50% on cold traffic. So typically on warm traffic, 30 to 40% plus is like what you're looking for. Then you want to see how many attendees you had, so your show rate. You want to see your retention rate, which is the difference between how many total attendees you had and the attendees at the time of the offer. Your applications and your application rate. So typically, like I said, 30 to 40% application rate. You want to have an 80% plus retention rate. Out of the applications, you want at least another 30, 40% to actually go ahead and book a call. And then, typically show rate, you want that to be 75% plus. You want your close rate to be between 30 and 40% plus. And with that, you can calculate your revenue numbers. So those are numbers that you want to track and some metrics for you. But you could book in a call and have like no one showing up. So I want to show you kind of our post-booking page system and our workflows for this offer. I said this was going to be super, super in-depth. First of all, when someone books into a call on our calendar, we reroute them to a landing page which looks a little bit like this. It looks exactly like this, actually. We send them to a thank you page, a thank you video, which essentially tells them, accept the invite on your calendar. This is what your call is going to be about. It's going to be amazing, a bit of value, a bit of excitement, blah, blah, blah. You can actually see the framework that we use, so we congratulate them for booking a call. We make sure that all the logistics are sorted. We only work with committed people. We educate them a bit more on the business model, and then we, of course, use social proof and results to get them excited and use authority. Make sure that the closes are framed correctly on the closing call too. Then we have breakout videos. So like these you need them. You need these breakout videos. So these are 60 to 90-second videos that answer frequently asked questions about the offer. Typically, the reason why leads no-show is because they have hidden objections. Whenever you've maybe no-showed to a call or whatever it may be, you've had a reason in the back of your mind that's preventing you from showing up. And we want to make sure that all of these potential reasons are answered in the breakout video. So you can see, how much can I expect to make from YouTube? How much time does this take? How much will this business cost me? Can I do this with any special skills? And these are 60, 90-second videos of the offer owner kind of explaining them and then kind of selling the offer off the back of, no, this is actually a reason why you should show up to the call and be interested in what we have to offer. And it also helps the closer save time and not answer repetitive questions. Then, of course, at the bottom of the page, we have more client wins, more social proof. And before the call, we have an email flow, which looks like this. So we send them a booking confirmed email. Then we have the offer owner story. We sell them on the vehicle, most common mistakes, different objections that people have, and a bunch of case studies and SMS reminders too through Calendly. We set this up using workflows. And essentially, all of these emails link back to this main post-booking page. It's like, if you have any more questions, check out the FAQs and make sure you've watched the post-booking video and accepted the invite. And essentially, all of this, like the SMS, we have the triager calling them up, which I'm going to get into on the sales side of things, but it makes it impossible for leads to not know about their call. And it's why we maintain 70, 75% plus show rates, even on cold traffic. Now, we could book in a ton of calls, they could show up, but we need a good sales team. So this is probably like a lot of growth operators, they don't like, I come from a sales background. And so the sales team, kind of managing a sales team, building a good sales team came more naturally to me in terms of scaling this offer to 7 figures in 8 months. But if you're an offer owner, or if you're an offer owner who's taking calls or building a team yourself, or if you're kind of a marketing guy who's trying to build a sales team, you're pretty cooked. The first step to a good sales team is making sure that even when you find the right talent, like finding the right talent is difficult, but when you do find the right talent, having good onboarding systems. So making sure you have call recordings, you have training videos, you have looms on everything, you have your frameworks, your discoveries, your program overviews, the clients know the agreements, all of the SOPs that we use are kind of documented, and there are looms inside of those documents to make sure they can run super smoothly from the get-go, like with no issues. You also want to make sure you go through this checklist when you onboard them. So obviously you want to add them to Slack, add them to the round robin event, create a workspace account on Google, add them to the payment processor, and make sure, like, this is a huge thing. Get on a call with them or make a loom walking through the exact funnel. Like, even like if I was onboarding a sales rep to this offer, I would probably make them watch this video where I've broken down our entire funnel, our entire content strategy, kind of everything, so that they understand the leads journeys and they can kind of reflect that and reflect their knowledge when selling, when closing. In terms of the closing framework itself, we use a very specific kind of deep discovery framework. And then our pitch, with our pitch, we use a pitch deck that I have curated using kind of a Miro board like this, going over case studies, screen sharing inside of the actual program itself. And we use a 3-pillar pitch that helps us close at 40% on qualified leads consistently with the high ticket offer. On top of that, what helps me and my sales manager save time is using AI call reviews. Now, these aren't phenomenal. I would 100% say that if you want to scale like a sales team to 500K a month, team culture, live call reviews in front of the whole team building is actually really, really important. But AI call reviews can be amazing for saving time. And you can set up a little GPT like this where you have one essentially long prompt. What you can do is you can ask AI to do this for you, or if you want to have my exact prompt, send me a DM. But essentially, this will allow you to see kind of what went well in the call, what went wrong in the call, so that you can have more. You can save time when kind of watching the call. You don't want to watch. You can't be watching every single call that your closers take. And like I say, you could have all of this, but the most important part is actually finding good talent and building an amazing team culture. This is one of my closers who is now actually getting into management inside of my agency. He's closed for E-Man, but conviction in the offer is top notch because I see the results. Everything is super smooth. And when you have closers like this who like you, who like the offer, your close rate and your team is going to be phenomenal. Another thing that we do in relation to, I think I kind of mentioned it with the post-booking page and workflows, or whenever a lead gets booked into a call, we have a setter literally calling them up within 5 minutes, making sure that they're qualified, making sure that they've said yes to the calendar event, that they have the link, that the time and date is right. This already prevents so many no-shows. And there's a little mini discovery to make life easier for the closer, making sure, the leaders watch the VSL, read the FAQs, and has that, any other questions that they have, the setter can answer them. Make sure we kind of understand their current situation, make sure they understand what the call is going to be about, what it's not going to be about, what their kind of budget is. And of course, double checking the lead will show and mentioning that if they get blacklisted from the opportunity, if they miss the call, they'll get blacklisted, so that our show rates stay high. We also have a WhatsApp process where the lead will get added by the setter with a group chat with the closer, where all the additional pre-call resources are sent, and the lead is asked to introduce themselves inside of the chat, just to build that commitment. Because when you say you're going to do something, when you say, yes, I'm going to attend the call, it makes them way more likely to do so. We also send them personalized resources. A lot of people, send a ton of pre-call emails and all of this stuff to warm up the leads, but they don't do any personalization. And from the setter's conversation, we always send specific resources. For example, if a lead is concerned about this thing, or if there's a case study that we have that's very specific to them, we send resources based on that to the lead to make them even warmer and prime them for the close on call. Now, once again, you could have every single thing here, but if you don't track your data and if you don't have the right tech and backend set up, all of this goes to shit. And the reason why, I'm emphasizing every single piece, without each of these pieces of the puzzle, we wouldn't have been able to get to where we want to go, which is why my agency is called Full Stack. We run full stack literally from A to Z across the entire funnel for our clients. And so in regards to the tech and tracking side of things, the most important thing is, knowing where leads are coming from using UTMs. It's one of the simplest things you can do, but I know so many growth operators, so many offer owners who just don't track this. And when you can see exactly how many calls a YouTube video is generating, when you can see, exactly which funnel and which campaign a lead is coming from, not only inside of your CRM, but also inside of, a view of all of your sales, we can see exactly where this is from. And we can see, okay, the free community is crushing, the VSL is crushing, we're also getting webinar leads come through. It essentially allows you to just double down on content that converts. And UTMs are super simple. Essentially, you add a source and a medium and content, simply add those, capture them in the type form. You can set this up super simply. You can capture them on Calendly and then send that information to the CRM. And then you can plug that into Airtable using a post call form. I'm going to be making an entire video on all of our backend systems that we use across the agency in the coming weeks as well. And this call outcome form that we use is probably the main thing that allows us to track data with such accuracy, where we can filter by, how many leads bought one program over another, where did they come from, how this closer specific close rates, setter close rates, setter set rates, all of that kind of thing. And essentially it's like a little form that we use on Airtable, which the closers fill out after every call. It keeps the closers accountable, number one, because it also gets sent into Slack. It keeps the setters in the loop with what happens on calls. And it also allows us, like I said, to track everything in specific detail, because without proper tracking, you're lost. We also have a bunch of other automations. One cool one that I think a lot of people could use is an automation where we have an onboarding form. So actually, no, this is triggered once again by the SRF. We have like one of the options in the sales report form, SRF, is like the lead has closed. And then when the lead has closed, it will trigger like if the lead, this filter is like if the lead is closed, then essentially we send them an email. We update the client CRM. We send a message in Slack saying, you know, we've closed the client, and then we automate based on which program they've joined a DocuSign with the client agreement. So that makes it all automated. Very nice, very happy. So yeah, that's kind of everything that we've done as an agency, as a team, to scale this offer to $1.2 million in 8 months. Now, I can't give the offer owner enough credit. Like, it's an amazing product. Content is dialed, the ads are dialed now, and we're only going to be scaling them up going into 2026. We are pacing a record month. Let's see if we hit it. Hopefully we hit it, because our record month before this was 259K. We're currently at like 112 in 12, 13 days. So definitely potential there. And if you like what you see, and you want to, if you're looking to get into growth operating, looking into running your own kind of info agency, scaling creators, I have my licensing down below. There's a video that kind of explains it. And if you are a coach looking to partner with our agency, looking for us to make you potentially 7 figures plus as well, then there is a link in the description for you with a little explainer video as well. Apart from that, thanks for watching. Take care. Peace.